Oh, welcome. Hello, everybody. This is Grizzly from Lexington, Kentucky. Coast to coast, all around the world. Do we have something enticing for you all tonight? It's going to be interesting. Isn't that correct, Jen?
Yeah.
Does something don't want her on the show?
Have you had that happen before? I'll send you a picture of what she sent me.
News bulletin. Stand by. Here's a special news bulletin. Stand by for action. Shot in the heart, and you're too late. Shot in the heart. Shot in the
They've tried 3 times.
Stand by.
I'm here by myself. Hello, everybody.
All right, try that.
Pretty sure that's exactly the same link you sent before.
Yeah, I just refreshed it. Is she using Windows or Mac?
I don't know. I'm sure it's not Mac.
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. When we get this technical difficulties corrected and fixed, I do apologize. West Coast Dog Band's in the house. Oh, wow. They just all went plop, 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 plop.
Oh, there
All
they are.
right.
Hello, hello.
Welcome.
Bonjour.
Welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. The gremlins have left the building. All right. So I'm going to let Jen take over, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, where we go, I have no clue. But we're in for a moment. I guarantee you that. Everybody, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Why don't you all give us a little bit of background on you all?
All right. Well, I'm Jen Kruse. I'm the team leader of the She-Squatchers. We started the all-female Bigfoot experiment back in 2015 at the suggestion of Loren Coleman, the cryptozoologist who has the International Cryptozoology Museum in the state of Maine. He thought that the recipe for success in finding and interacting, getting closer to Bigfoot, would be to sending women into the woods without men, dogs, or guns. So he kind of challenged me to try that out. And I didn't believe in Bigfoot, to be perfectly honest. I'd never really thought about it before, long enough to even decide if I believed in it or not. But he assured me that there was Bigfoot in my home state of Minnesota and challenged me to go look for them with some ladies. And I said, okay, let's do this. And the first little group of ladies I brought with me were paranormal investigators. I thought that was a good choice at the time because they had these night vision cameras that I thought we needed. But it turned out that those cameras weren't strong enough for the woods, and the ladies weren't either, most of them. So, yeah. So then I went and told because we had an encounter, and most of them got really scared and got back in the car and didn't want to get back out again. So,
Oh, I dropped dead of a heart attack. So,
yeah. So then I went home and I told Jena and Tammy what was going on, and Jena was on board right away. Tammy wasn't able to join us right away, but she did when she was able, and we've been the trifecta ever since.
well, that's right on. You're all pretty famous out there, I see.
Oh, are we? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, y'all got some good reviews. You know, not everybody gets on Grizzly's show. I do my homework, and a lot of people actually requested you all.
They did?
Yes,
Well, that's
absolutely.
so cool.
Well, thank you to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. So I listen to my audience. You know, you're being streamed right now on 10 platforms and over 60 Facebook groups. So you'll have a lot of people watching this later, and especially when they get off work and get up from dinner and stuff. So
Gotcha.
how long have y'all been doing this?
Well, we started the team up in 2015. So it's been a
Ooh.
long time now. I can't believe it.
I know, that's great. So tell me, let's hear about your investigations and expeditions and
Well, okay. So in addition to Lauren's idea of sending women into the woods, we're also, all of us are psychic mediums. And I'm an energy healer as well. So I feel energy as a physical thing in my body. It's not just a good emotional feeling. I actually feel vibrations in my body. And everything vibrates at its own frequency. So we can use that to look for Bigfoot as well. Tammy's really good. We can all see auras, but Tammy sees them a lot quicker than most of us do. So that's one of her big things. We do what I call geographic remote viewing, which is different than the regular remote viewing that everybody else is talking about. I just want to make that very, very clear because people are like, oh, we're doing remote viewing too. And I'm like, really, what are you doing? That's nothing like what we're doing. So,
right.
what we're doing is we're using satellite imagery from Google Maps and Google Earth. And literally we're scanning locations. And when we see something there, we drop a GPS pin on it so we have the coordinates. And so we're actually providing actual GPS coordinates and telling you what we're seeing there in detail. And it is a lot more than just, hey, I'm seeing a barrier over there that you can't cross, and there's something over there. I mean, without any coordinates at all. So we're doing a lot of very specific things, and we've been tried and tested and true. So when we say something's there, and somebody goes there, they find something there. So
Wow. That's impressive.
we also have like a double check system here. So like I'm like the main remote viewer. I'm scanning the areas most of the time, and then if I find something, I'll drop a GPS coordinate right next to it so that it doesn't block whatever's there on the map. And then I just send it to my team and I ask them to look and tell me what they're seeing there. And it's really fun to get that confirmation from them. Because there was one time that we were going to go looking at a woods in Minnesota, and so I was remote viewing the area, and I saw something very unusual there. I saw Bigfoot with a mountain lion, like it was his pet,
Ooh.
and I was like, "That's odd." So I sent the GPS coordinates to Tammy, and Jonah wasn't going to come along on that trip, so I was just doing it with Tammy that time. And I said, "Hey, Tammy, tell me what you see at these coordinates." And she looked at it. She says, "Oh, weird. I'm seeing a Bigfoot with a mountain lion there." And so that was the confirmation that we needed. And guess what? We didn't go into that woods.
That's wild.
No, I'm not playing with any mountain lions. Thank you very much.
That's wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been all over the country. We speak at conventions all over, and when we go, sometimes we often have extra time there, and we get to go out into the field with people who are share their hot spots with us and want us to look around. And that's given us the opportunity, and such a blessing, really, to be able to look and find things in other states all around the country. And then we get more things to share during our presentation, which is already way too long. And I have had to cut it down because we have too much stuff to share.
Oh, it's never too much for my show, I tell you.
Yeah.
I'll let you all run it. I'm just dying to hear some of your all's encounters and stuff.
Awesome. Well, we did do one in Nebraska where we went through, and I was like, "Hey, this feels really squatchy to me," but we didn't have anything with us to stay. And that particular state park, you couldn't be in there after dark unless you were camping there. So we decided we'd come back another time when we were in the area. We brought our camping stuff, and it had rained like the dickens the day before. Well, the day we were supposed to be there, so we ended up in a hotel because it was just downpouring like crazy. And
Oh,
then we went there the next day and set up our tent in the mud. And there was not another person in the park. Nobody else wanted to camp in the mud. I don't know why. So when at night we went up to the Indian caves, and there was a stairwell there that walks up to the caves, and that's what I really wanted to do at night. And as they started walking, it was just so quiet. There was only the sound of the river, the water going by, and everything else was just so quiet. And as soon as the girls started walking up the stairs, I started hearing all these little sounds. Tammy, do you want to tell them what it was?
We actually had green acorns being thrown projectile to our feet. They didn't hit our feet, but it was right in front of our feet. And they were green, not brown. So I was looking up, and it's like a cliff face, kind of semicircle cliff face, and there were stairs going up to it. And I'm looking up, and I'm not seeing anything. I scanned it with the FLIR, and I didn't see anything. And things were coming down in front of us, and I was like, okay, usually that's a sign to not go any farther. But I'm like, hey, man, we're sorry. We're going to go. We're coming up to the cave. We're going to look and see what we can see. And I'm sorry, we're not going to touch anything. We're not going to hurt anything, but we're coming. So we kept going, and all the way up as we were walking, they kept landing right in front of us. Like I said, they never hit us, but we got up there and we looked around, and we looked up, and there were trees right at the edge of the cliff, but we never saw anything up there. It was nighttime, but we never saw anything up there. And as we were coming back, they threw a few more when we were coming back down, but after we got off of there, it stopped. So it was pretty neat.
It was absolutely silent again as soon as they stepped off the stairs. They was silent. No more acorns, nothing. just the river flowing again. So that was a really cool experience. Um, and when I first started to do remote viewing for Bigfoot, because I was using remote viewing to locate missing people or using it in paranormal investigations for years prior to that. And so I was already extremely confident that if I was seeing something in a remote view, that there was something there, what I was seeing was there. So I was very, very confident. And so I thought, well, let's do this and look for Bigfoot. And so I did that. And I saw in my geographic remote view, I saw a Bigfoot face that was identifying his territory, so to speak. And then about 200 feet from that, I was seeing what was lighting up a golden light, this large area. When I would ask, "Is there any Bigfoot evidence here that we can collect?" And this whole area would light up this golden light. And between those two areas, I was seeing what looked like a trail of some kind, a little road. It wasn't marked as a road, not even a minimum maintenance road. I wasn't really sure if we could drive on it or not. So when we got there, I was like, let's check this out. And we actually had cell service up there. So I was watching us on the blue on my phone, traveling as the blue dot up this trail, and it was barely drivable, to be honest with you. 'Cause
Wow.
there's a video on our YouTube channel, which is She-Squatchers Official. There's a video on there that you can see us driving that trail, and literally it's like one of those old car washes where the things come up over your car to wash it, but that was the trees. Scrape. And we drove it anyway. Anyway, we got up there, and so that particular expedition was Jena and I, and Nikki was driving my vehicle. And I'm like, just keep going. It's okay. Whatever. It's all rusty now. Thank you. It wasn't rusty before, but it is now. Thank you, trees. Anyway, so we get up there, and I'm watching us as the blue dot, and I'm like, okay, stop the car. Right here, we're in between the two spots. To the right is the aggressive male that I'm scared of. I'm feeling scared of because I saw the expression on his face, which I often do see when we're doing remote views. When I see a Bigfoot, I can often see their face and get an idea for their disposition, if they're friendly, if they're old. I've even seen one that showed me he had no teeth, and
Wow.
he was really old. He'd been, and but this particular one I was seeing on that remote view was aggressive, and I had felt fear of him. And so I said about 100 feet to the right from right here is that aggressive male's territory. And about within 100 feet, not to the left, there's Bigfoot evidence we can collect. I'm not sure what it is. It just lit up when I asked that question. And so let's go check it out. Well, my whole idea of this was to find the spot, get out of the park as close as you can get to it, and get out and run to it and see if you can surprise them. Because I think they're not used to people coming into an area knowing that they're going to be there. They're just stumbling about, not really expecting to see a Bigfoot. And here we're going right in knowing that they're there. So my idea was to have your stuff ready, get out of the car and go quick. And so I get out of the car and I'm like, come on, Jena, let's go. And she's la-di-da, not quite ready yet. And so I'm waiting for her, and I'm looking. I decided to look into the woods to the right where that aggressive male was, just to see if I could see anything out there. And just then Nikki said, oh, I think I see something out there. And she had been looking to the left of the car, and she wasn't going to be getting out of the car that day because she wasn't feeling well. It was really, really hot. In Minnesota, it was 96 degrees and humidity was high.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we were dressed from head to toe because there's something called wild parsnip there that is, you don't ever want to touch it with your bare skin. So we are clothed to the hilt, even wearing gloves, because we don't want to touch this stuff. And we had been walking through that. So, and it'll burn you and scar your skin. So you just
Oh,
don't want to
wow.
touch it. So anyway, so Nikki was looking, and she said she saw something. So I was like, what am I thinking? Don't look for the aggressive male. Go over there and look into the woods that way. So I went over there and I looked, and I could see what she was saying. There was stuff moving, but there was something moving back there. I could see large black something was walking around back there. So I'm all excited. I'm like, come on, Jena, let's go, let's go. And she's not quite ready yet. And I know it was going kind of slow motion in my perspective.
Yes, and
now,
I do
Yeah.
have to say, and I tell everybody this, I did believe in Jen. I just didn't believe in remote viewing. I just didn't think it could be possible for you to look at a map online and see what she saw. So I mean, it didn't click in my mind. So no, I didn't. I wasn't in this big hurry. Sorry, Jen.
And I figured out at that time that she didn't really believe in remote viewing. Otherwise, she would have been really gung ho because she's always gung ho. But she wasn't gung ho. She's like, da da da. Nikki, do you want to use my Netflix?
Okay, but I wasn't like super slow. I wasn't like, hello, let's go. I mean, come on, that was slow mo for you, Jen.
If you could have seen it through my eyes, you would know it was slow motion for sure. I was like, so when I saw something moving back there, I started walking towards it. And then I got scared because now I'm walking towards this by myself, and that wasn't my plan. So, and I do get scared when, it doesn't usually stop me from doing what I want to do, but I still get scared. I'll go towards anything if I have one of my friends with me. So anyway, so then I started yelling at Jena, "Come on, Jena, let's go." And I got a little rude and a little mean. And
She
I think that was
did.
the first time I ever yelled at her.
I was just gonna say that was one of the first times I've ever heard her be rude, and I was just like, at first I was like taken aback, but not anymore. Now I'm used to it.
me yelling now.
Now it's just like, gosh, Jen, stop it. You're always yelling. I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
Oh. So anyway, she finally caught up, and this is really funny. I just got to tell you, we do interviews all the time, and I got to tell you my favorite interview, and I'm not even sure what show it was on, so that we could go back and listen to it again. But Jena said, and I quote, "It was like Jen knew something was there. She walked right to it. She knew it was there." And I'm like, "I told you there was something there." That's why we were going.
Yeah, I felt kind of dumb after saying it because she literally said, "I told you, Jena." So yeah.
It was funny. But what we found there was really cool. It was a den-like structure that was absolutely huge. And what it looked like from the angle that we approached from, which was definitely about 75 feet from the trail that we parked on. So it was really close. And it was like a tower, and it was trees that were shoved into the ground and teepeed together with foliage weaved between them into levels. And it was about 2.5 stories tall. And at the base of it, there was like a dark space that was about 5.5 feet tall that we couldn't see into. And as we approached it, the shrubbery leaves or whatever that was growing there in front of it moved 3 separate times. And we weren't touching it. So there was, that led me to believe that there was something inside of there that I couldn't see into that dark area. And so I was like trying to be cautious about getting too close to it and cornering whatever's in there, and yet still continue exploring what we found here. And so I was really focused on that dark spot. And Jena and I were trying to get around to the side of this structure. We didn't realize until after we looked at the video of it later that we were moving these sticks that had been shoved into the ground, really long ones that were shoved into the ground that made kind of a diagonal weaved fence kind of that was really large. And here we were just moving these sticks, trying to get around them, and not realizing what that was. It was a fence. And and because we weren't even looking at it, I was so focused on that dark spot and making sure nothing was coming out at me, getting around to the side of it. And we got around to the side, and the tower itself was about as wide as a Walmart aisle.
Oh.
And when we got around behind it, there was another structure that was built onto it that had an interior structure. It wasn't as tall as the tower, but it was a lot more dense. The trees had been stacked on top of each other, and then all the smaller parts were weaved together very tightly. It wasn't tied or twined or nailed or screwed together. It was just weaved together very tightly. And I actually grabbed a hold of it at one point and shook it, and to see if it would come apart, and it wouldn't. Anyway, so we're looking at this, and it has a doorway, but no door. and it had two long sticks that were actually part of the structure that came across diagonally that you could move them so you could go in. And Jenna's like, "Hey, do you want me to go in there?" And I'm like, "What? You want to go in there for real?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, I kind of peeked in a little bit, and I saw that it was a separate like room from the tower itself. You couldn't see into the tower from there, that dark space. And there, so I'm like, well, I guess if you want to go in there, I suppose you really want to. She's like, yeah. So she did. Jenna, take it away.
Boy, yeah, I just asked Jen. I said, yeah, can I go in there? And she was like, well, gosh, if you really want to. I mean, she was kind of surprised that I did ask, and I was so excited to get in there. And of course, I didn't just go like jump in without looking. We had lights, we had everything on. In fact, I was wearing a GoPro, and it was set on, and this is what I was so excited about. It was set on video, so I could get all of this on video. So I get in there, I'm on my knees, and I'm like, so it's tall enough to be probably 5 inches. I'm 5'5". Well, Jen laughs and says I'm 5'4", but I'm between 5'4" and 5'5". I'll put it to you that way. That's what the doctor says. According to him, I shrunk. But anyway, I was sitting on my knees, and I had at least a good 5 inches above me. I laid down, and when I got in there, the ground was so soft. It was soft like a mattress. It was just really, I literally laid down. I did not feel any twigs. I did not feel anything that should be in there, any rocks, anything. It was cleared of any kind of anything. It was just perfect little bed. And I laid down. It was probably at least 2-3 feet above and below combined, above and beyond, so it was going to fit something very, very long. So it also had a little window area that you could see out of, which was pretty neat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking ovaries of steel.
Well, I do have to say, when I was laying there and I looked up at the ceiling of this, and it was so neat because this was not man-made. This was not weather-made. I can't tell you what made this, but it was weaved together in a way that I can't explain. I mean, it would have kept the weather from getting in. I mean, might have leaked.
Well, I'm glad in the hell you sure didn't find out.
I know, me too. Well, and we were in an area that is very dark because there were all these trees around us, and it was, probably in the afternoon, but the sun can't get quite through there. So we were in a dark area anyway, and then to be in that little area, I guess I may have ovaries of steel. Thank you so much for saying that. I like that. I like that.
That is no problem, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, I would have probably passed out or ran into a tree and knocked myself out or something, or ran.
If you had ovaries of steel, you probably would.
Oh my Lord.
Jenna, that is your new catchphrase. Jena Grover with ovaries of steel.
I don't want it. I don't want it. Some people might take it wrong.
I don't know how else to put it. That's the best way I can describe it. So
no, I love it. I think it was great.
I mean, 3 women going out in the woods with nothing for protection. No, not even from crackheads or little Johnny running around the night in a ape suit, drunker than hell, causing havoc, which we know it happens, unfortunately.
Well, we do have Tammy. Tammy is our secret weapon. She's our kickboxer.
Well, y'all get out of the cars and just go running into the woods. It's like... I mean, if I was Sasquatch or Bigfoot, I'd be like, what the hell? I wouldn't know what to do. I would probably freeze too.
What do you think, Grizzly? I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So you know how animals often mark their territory by urinating in a location?
Right.
Do you think if we urinate in a location, Bigfoot thinks we're marking the territory as our own?
Oh, yes. Just like deer do. Yes.
See, Jenna.
Yes.
Okay, you can tell the story, but I didn't know at this point. I was very new.
So we were
Lord.
on our way out there, and we stopped on the trail so that I could pee before we got close to it, right? So I get out of the car. I'm like, anybody got to pee? No, I'm good. We're good. And
I didn't have to go
like,
at
go
that
and here's your chance. Go now. I'm gonna go now. So then we get this is the second time we went to that structure. We get out of the car and at the structure, and we start going into it. And Jena whips her pants down, starts going to pee. I'm like, what are you doing?
By the structure? Oh, that's like peeing on a grave.
It wasn't right beside the structure. It was out on the road, off of the actual vehicle. I did it just like
Oh.
her in just a different area.
75 feet from it.
But still, I mean,
That
obviously,
feels bad.
well, you know what? I did it. It's in the past. Let's move on.
I'm like, you're either marking your territory or you're advertising, I'm here, come and get me.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
I learned my lesson well.
Woo.
You were right, Jen.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
that was funny. Yeah, but when we were at that structure the first time, I was looking around there. I found some place where something had been clearly digging, and Jena thought maybe they were digging for grubs or something. And you could see like it had been digging with fingers, you could tell. And I turned around. So I'm looking at this real close, and I'm looking at it. And I turn around, and Jena is gone. She's just gone. And I freaked out. There's a video on our YouTube channel, and it's me freaking out. Jena, where are you? I can't see you anymore. Where'd you go? Oh my God. Jena, where did you go?
Yeah, and here's the whole thing. I can see her perfectly. I have no problem seeing her. I mean, she is like right there. I can move all around, and she still can't see me, but I can see her completely clearly.
Oh, wow.
And I'm right behind the structure.
She had
That's
to flash
crazy.
her camera flash from behind there, and she held her arms up to flash it so that I could see it. So that's on the video too. So I'm like, something. I mean, we weren't wearing camouflage. We were actually not trying to blend in at all. So imagine if we were naturally able to blend in with our fur, how well hidden we would be there. Because Jena was fully camouflaged by that structure. I couldn't see her at all.
You just reminded me. Remember when I told you I was wearing that GoPro on my head?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, that GoPro went from videoing to taking pictures as soon as I got into that structure. And all the pictures were fuzzy. None of them turned out. Not one.
And her other camera also malfunctioned when she got in there. So everything she had was screwed up. All my
Yes.
stuff worked great. So, I mean, it was just bizarre. And even the next time we went back there, again, weird stuff happened there every time we went there. The next time we went there, we had the actual GPS coordinates of the actual structure, and we knew exactly where it was and what it was. And it was weird because when we got there the second time, we walked right up to it, and I was convinced that this wasn't it, and Jena was convinced that this wasn't it, and it was weird because it was it. And we walked around. I just felt like compelled to walk deeper into the forest, and we walked around looking for it, and it was just ridiculous because I knew exactly where it was. And we come around the backside up and approached it again, and I was like, why didn't I think that this was it before? And all of a sudden the confusion was lifted, and it's starting to get really dark. So we wasted our whole day walking around looking
Wow.
for it when we knew exactly where it was. And so then we got some video of it when it was getting dark. And then we brought out the night equipment because now it's dark. And everything just died really fast. Like everything just got sucked dry. And we had a native guy with us who was who also he only got a little bit of footage because everything of his died too, and so he walked back to the car because he was cold. And I had 2 headlamps in my pack that we hadn't touched yet, and I had 13% charge on my cell phone left, and that's all I had left. Everything else was dead. And every time I was using the light on my cell phone because our headlamps weren't bright enough to really. They were
Illuminate. Yeah.
yeah. And every time I turned off the light on my cell phone, we could hear it was middle October, so all the leaves were on the ground. And if you make one little move, it's very loud. As soon as I turned off my big light, things would start moving towards us with the leaves. You'd hear the leaves, and you're like, "Oh, turn it back on," and then everything would stop, and and then we're looking to see what's there. And yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy night. And then I couldn't, my cell phone was actually dying because I kept using the light. And then we decided, well, let's walk back to the trail. And our little headlamps weren't lighting everything up good enough to see exactly where we were. And so I was worried that we were going the wrong way and just walking deeper into the forest again. So I called and said, can you come closer to, because we'd parked way up the trail. And I said, can you come closer with some light so we can find the trail? And I told her, lead the way, Jena. And then I was like, you're going the wrong way, Jena. And
oh, you say, I was going to tell you guys, she left out the part where she said, Jena, where do we go? Which way do we go? I don't know where we're going. And I don't hear Jen scared a lot. So I thought, okay. And so I went the way that I just felt my gut told me where to go. And she goes, no, you're not going the right way. And then I thought, oh, don't ask me then, gall darn it. So that's when she yelled out for help. And guess where it was? Just where I said it was.
We were like 10 feet from the trail and we couldn't see
Oh,
it.
10 feet from the, yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was too dark. We couldn't see it. So, yeah.
And Jen is horrible with directions anyway.
I am directionally challenged. Don't drop me in the forest and expect me to find my way out, even if or a hotel. And
or the airport.
Yeah. I'm really good at finding stuff on Google Earth, but in the moment, which way is which, I'm not sure. So yeah. Anyway, so I can't be everything all the time. I have to have my teammates I rely on them, and hopefully they rely on me a little bit. We make a good team. Where one is failing, the other will lift them up. So that's what
I don't see that at all. I think I'm going to say it once again.
Over
still.
I got to tell you, there was one time when we were in Nebraska, we were done with our night investigation. So we turned everything off. We're just sitting on a park bench, or it was a picnic table. And we're just sitting there chatting and just talking about what a good time we've had tonight and whatever. And all of a sudden we hear this, and it was the same sound I heard it on Grizzly Adams as a kid. It was a mountain lion roar. And I was like, I think that's a big cat. And then we heard it again. And I'm like, get to the car. And they took off running. And here I was. And it was so muddy. And I was like slipping and sliding. I'm so lucky I didn't face plant right in the mud because I almost wiped out. And but they were gone like that. They were gone. And I always said, don't run from a cat because they'll chase, that like initiates them to chase you. And I just said, get to the car. And what they heard was run.
Okay. When she said get to the car, she was going, get to the car. It wasn't get to the car. So, Disney. You know what I mean? If you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it.
Oh yeah, it's fun times. And so then they always say we would never leave you behind, Jen. I'm like, nah, I think not, because you did. You did. When push came to shove, and there was a big cat roaring, you guys left me.
Yeah, but you told us to. There's a difference.
You probably didn't even know I wasn't right behind you till you were safely in the car.
I don't remember looking back. No, I'm kidding, Jen. I'm kidding. Oh, right? I couldn't help it.
I'm the slow one of the group. So, everybody's safe as long as they're faster than me. So we're good. I'll take one for the team.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah. So, are there questions that anybody has? We have
Uh,
thermal?
I am so amazed, and I haven't even checked the comments here. Holly Grizzly, howdy, Jena and Tammy, hello. Hello again, Grizzly and She-Squatchers. So it's Flat Rock. He's one of my regulars too.
Hi,
So
Flat Rock. Hi.
yeah.
West Coast
So
Dogman Project. We don't do Dogman.
I would.
surprised you haven't run into him.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like when we're looking for something, it looks back. So I haven't looked for Dogman.
So have y'all actually had encounters with Bigfoot?
Yes.
Well, let's
So-
talk about them. I'm
We
down
were-
to hear this experience.
We were in Tennessee and we were doing a conference there, and they had wanted to, they sold tickets for people to go out looking for Bigfoot with us and with Matthew Dell from Micro. And I had bronchitis, and we didn't figure, I was struggling to breathe anyway, so we didn't figure hiking up a mountain was a good plan for me that day. So I stayed behind, and I had been asking him for the GPS coordinates of where we were going to go, because I was trying to tell him what we do, and I don't think he really understood in advance of what I was saying. I was like, listen, I don't really go into the woods without looking at it first, because I feel like I'm wasting my time. Everybody just goes in meandering about. That's what everybody else does. That's not what I do. So I just felt like, and he wouldn't give me the coordinates. I was like, okay, well, I'll stay behind. You girls go and have the hike on the mountain, and send me the coordinates when you get there, and I'll have a look at it. So I was remote viewing it while they were up there. And so I was marking the GPS coordinates of places I was seeing Bigfoot while they were gone. And so when they were done and they came down, they weren't allowed to have people out there at night because it was a mountain, and they didn't want to be responsible for somebody accidentally stepping off of a cliff, because that never happens, right, Tammy?
Uh-oh.
It happened like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
When we were on
my.
expedition in Ohio, somebody walked straight off a cliff into the water.
Not to me.
No.
Oh,
But it was
my.
dark and they walked straight off the cliff. So it does happen. Anyway, it wasn't us, but somebody who was on our expedition did, and ended up in the water like 50, what was it, like a 50-foot drop, wasn't it?
Oh, no, it wasn't 50. It was like 20, but he climbs back up. We're still getting our gear on. He's like, I'm done. We're like, what happened? He's dumping water out of his boots. It was so
Baby
funny. And
poop
he's like,
mud
I'm
all
done.
over him. It was so funny. Oh, no.
But anyway, back to Tennessee.
Back to Tennessee. So we weren't allowed to have people out there after dark. So we had dinner. We all got together after they were up on the mountain looking during the day. We had dinner, the three of us and Matthew Delph, and I was showing them the GPS coordinates that I had seen Bigfoot at. And I said, listen, this one here is by the road. And I like to find ones that are by the road, because then you have that element of get out of the car quick and have a surprise, right? And you
Oh,
can find them by the road. You don't have to hike for 10 miles in. You don't have to. They are by roads. So anyway, so we marked that spot, and we all looked at it over dinner and decided, let's go back up there. So now it's my first time to go up there. And we're driving up this mountain, and we park, and I was like, it came over me, what if I looked right now? Do we have self-service here? Can I look at this right now? And I did. I had self-service. We don't always have self-service up there.
right.
And so I looked and I asked the question, is there any Bigfoot here right now? And then I saw one on my remote view. It just appears on the picture wherever I'm looking. And I used the little measuring tool on the maps, and I said, it's 30 feet that way. I'm still sitting in the car. It's 30 feet that way. And I'm pointing. And Tammy grabs Jenna's FLIR that belonged to Jena, and only Jena really knew how to use all of it. I did not. So Jenna's really good with the techie stuff, and you can tell me push this button and that button. I'm not going to remember that next time. It's just not going to stick. It's just not. It's weird. it's like basic math. Can't do it very good, but give me complex algebra, not an issue. I can do that. So I don't know why. Anyway, so Tammy grabs the FLIR. She gets out of the car. She's turns it on and she's looking through it. And she's screaming, "Oh my God, how do you make this record?" What did you see, Tammy?
Yes, like she said, it was my first time using this, and I did not know how to make it record. I could take pictures, I could flip back and forth through all the different colors, but I could not make it record. So I'm sitting here looking through this FLIR, and I am seeing something leaning up against a tree, armed up like this, and there's all this hair hanging down, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get this. I'm like, how do I record? How do I record? And I'm flipping through it, the different colors, and I'm like, ugh. And this is one of those times that everybody was not ready when they got out of the car.
I wasn't out of the car yet.
So I'm like, how do I record? How do I record? Finally, I'm like, guys, how do I make this record? And Jena comes over, I do this, boop. And I was like, oh. Anyway, so I'm looking through it, and he didn't lift his arm up again, but I got 13 minutes of footage of this being sitting there. Looked like he was working with his hands. It could have been skinning an animal or doing something on a rock in front of him. And the entire time that he knew that I was there, we were not quiet at all. I was not quiet when I was like, how do I make this record? But he didn't run away. And we didn't try to get any closer. It never even entered our minds to get any closer. But I actually turned it off and turned away before it left. So we have 13 minutes of footage, and to me, initially it looked like it was sitting down with his, his leg propped up and like this, and then just, kind of messing around and relaxing and chilling. But then when we looked at it, it kind of looked like he might have been standing behind something, and I guess there was kind of a ledge there. We had Matthew go back and check out the area again because we had to leave the next day. But he went back and checked it. He said there was a ledge there. He could have been standing behind it and using that as a table. So 13 minutes of footage. It's FLIR footage. It's on our website at She-Squatchers Official. And it's on our YouTube. You can go there and you can see it. I think we only put like six and something minutes up of it. But yeah, we got
the reason
all that
why
footage.
we did that is because Tammy pointed the camera at me and I looked awful. So we cut that part out. And then
She's
I
not
took the
vain enough,
camera
though.
away from her and I pointed it at her, and she looked beautiful. But the point was, we wanted to see what do people look like on that setting, which was black hot. And on black hot, your skin looks gray or black, and
Right.
hair comes up as stark white. So it's really easy to see Bigfoot in that way.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we
You're
had
all
somebody
something.
come back through and stabilize the footage and adjust the coloring a little bit. And we have that video up there as well, where the footage has been stabilized. Because I was all over the place. I was like, okay, am I really seeing that? Let me look at the sky. Okay, yep, sky's black. Back to it. Oh, it's still white. We were really noobs at this whole thing at that time with that FLIR. So
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it was definitely a good time. So you guys have to check out that video on our YouTube channel. And you can also check it out on it's on our blog on our website, which is She-Squatchers.com. And if you just click our blog, you can scroll through there and see the different things that we've shared there, and that we put it there to make it easy to find. The YouTube video is there. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So do you have questions for us?
Let me check. I'm still in awe about the steel part. So.
Tell us more about us being famous. I never hear that. Do you ever hear that, girls?
No.
say it again.
Yeah, like I said,
It's too funny.
yeah, there's actually, like I said, there was a large request. I was overwhelmed with emails and texts and Facebook requests, and and I'm going through all of the list that people wanted to be on, and a lot of them didn't make the cut because there's certain criteria that I have, and no offense to anybody that's watching, and just very, very picky. And I did my homework on you guys, and I was like, And this one girl reached out, and she was like, when are you going to have them on? Damn it. I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, I'll reach out now. That's when I reached out.
Well,
thank
thank
everything.
you. Dang it.
So, but I'll tell you one thing I do want to do. This
What?
may sound crazy. Next time y'all go out, I want to go live.
Go live when we're out and about.
Absolutely.
If we have service. That's the bad thing about going live, because we've gone live before and it was like we were looking for the Poplick goat man, the Poplick
Yeah.
wrestle. And we went live. The service sucked and we didn't know it was just not doing it until it was all
Oh,
over, and we
man.
got no video because it was all screwed up on Facebook Live. We were so upset. So that's why we don't do a lot of lives on location anymore, because you just don't know that it's not working in the moment, and then everything's ruined.
That's
So
terrible.
yeah, but we had fun at the Poplick Trestle looking for the goat man.
Where was that at?
Is that Indiana or Kentucky? I'm trying to remember. Louisville?
Louisville, Kentucky?
Louisville. That was here's me. Louisiana. And it was Louis something.
No, Louisville, which I'm not too far from. And I interviewed a gentleman that lives in Indiana, was visiting his friend in Louisville. It's Louisville, but one of his neighbors come down. He's like, and he said he sounded like a samurai warrior, And he's like, what the hell? So he's trying to calm him down, as his neighbor was, and he's just standing there just chilling, what, this guy must be crazy or something. I'm in Louisville, so there's no telling what I should see or expect. And he got the word out, goat man. And he was like, what? What did you just say? He said, goat man. He said, it was there last night and it killed some lady's chickens and took off with something else. And he's thinking to himself, he's like, I know where the trestle is. He's like, can you show me where this creature walked? He's like, yeah. I'll be damned if he didn't take them to the location and actually casted prints.
Oh, were they hoof prints then?
Yes. And I tell you, it freaked me out when I saw them. So he thought they were so good, which they are. He took them to the Fish and Wildlife to Kentucky. And they just went, that is a big deer. And he was like, no, wrong answer. So he took it to Indiana DNR, and they went, a cow? And he's like, do you think a cow's hoof is this far apart from the front and back? And they were like, we don't know. He's like, well, I do, damn it. That's why I'm bringing and telling you and showing you. So why don't you see what you all think? They wouldn't answer him. So he actually went and got the cast and showed it on the show. And I was just like, oh, my Lord. And it just seems like, we were talking the other day about the sightings of everything. I mean, for goodness sake, we got monsters washing up on beaches across the world again, from New Zealand and Australia, and what kills me is that the first thing the city government or the county government does, they bring a backhoe, dig a hole on the beach and bury the damn thing. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why aren't y'all bringing a flatbed pickup truck and haul it back to the office and let's do some homework? Unless you already knew about it and you all made it, but who knows? So at this point in life, I do not draw a line in the sand at all, because where do you stop believing? You know, in the Bible, it says God made creatures seen and unseen. So, and I'm not going to get all religious because everybody goes all hell, Grizzly. Here he goes. And I want to say it. Yes, there are missing books of the Bible, but I still have my faith. Unfortunately, men in the Catholic Church didn't want us to know certain things, but I still have my faith. So, y'all still crazy.
Oh, say it again.
Yes, yes.
I reason still, man.
Well, you know, you never know how you're going to react when you're confronted with something. You know, some
True.
people
Oh,
will
hell
run
yeah,
away,
I
some
do.
people will cower, and some people just want to get the evidence.
But running from a vehicle into a woods, trying to get face to face with something,
Oh yeah,
and there's, and oh my Lord,
that's what I
And
want.
you're-
I want a face to face. I want to look eyes to eyes and have that moment, that experience. That's what I want.
It's all about the experience. I want that experience too. I want the experience. I want to learn from. I want to love. I want to feel the love. You know, that's there. I know that there's love out there. Maybe I just sound like a love beast. I don't know. Forget it. Now I sound like a love goddess or something. I just got love. I sound like a weirdo. I'll shut up.
But you know what's funny though? I'll retract that statement. But do you all know there's different breeds of Bigfoot?
I
Oh,
believe so. Yes, I believe
Tell-
that there are probably. I believe there's at least 4 different species.
Yes, they are. And unfortunately, I cannot name them, but the guest that I had on my show the other night did. And he says their teeth are different. They're very aggressive. They will attack you. And he explained to me his encounters that he had with him and his nephew and him and his neighbor that actually got jumped by one. And they ended up shooting, and it drew more attention to the other ones nearby coming running and crawling like a spider. And he made it perfectly clear out of the 3, 2 took off running. And I didn't ask any more questions. Because when somebody tells me only 2 took off running, that means 1 didn't move. And they got out of there quick. So, and I heard that a lot when somebody fires off rounds, whether it's close to them or just in the general area, it does attract the other clan members or Bigfoots in the area to come near, see what's going on, especially for protection. So, you ever see one on all 4s like a spider?
I've heard stories about it. And boy, can you tell us what you've heard?
Well, I've actually had a guy that was walking through the woods, and he got this feeling that something wasn't right. And everything got very, very quiet. And I don't know why it always gets very, very quiet when something's about to happen. You know, it's like the horror stories or the movies. So he was walking, and something told him not to look to his left. So he pulls out his cell phone and he just starts snapping pictures as he's walking. Doesn't look at his cell phone till he gets home. And I think the 8th or 9th picture, he walked right by one, not even 9 feet, and it laid in a little gully on all 4s like a spider. That was creepy looking. Then 15 to 20 feet behind him, there was one peeking out behind a tree. So I've got some female squatchers in Florida. They will actually record frontwards and backwards, and they got them peeping out at them as they walk by or back to their vehicles. So that's pretty interesting. It really is. But, you know, it's you know, I mean, what can you say? You know, I never heard of people getting out of the car and taking off running. I mean, what are y'all gonna do when you come across an aggressive one?
Well, we remote view before we go to the areas, and we don't approach the areas that have the aggressive ones.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
really nice to know.
I actually do remote viewing for other teams and other people that are going out, which is kind of fun because then we get the feedback of what they experience when they go there. And sometimes they're like really like several states away from where I live, and they're like, "Hey, we're going out tomorrow night, or we're going out tonight. Can you have a peek at it for us? Tell us what's going on there." And I do, and that's been really fun. We do that a lot for the Ohio Night Stalkers for Mike Miller, and it's been fun looking at that. Some they have like this one hotspot that they go to, which I will never tell where it is, but it's basically a dead end road that just dead ends in the woods, and um, they'll go and they'll go to the end of the road and they'll park the cars and just put chairs out on the road and just have the Bigfoot come to them. And so I tell them where I'm seeing the Bigfoot, how many are there, how old they are, about if they're aggressive or not, what their demeanor is. There was one time I told them they are really they are really not in a good mood over these are aggressive ones. Don't mess around with them. If they are giving you the indication that they want you to leave, you should go. And they had the most incredible aggressive encounter that night. Huge rocks were just whizzing right past their heads, like barely missing them, hitting their cars with these big rocks coming from the direction that I said they were at. And then another time they went out there and I looked again and I was like, hey, the aggressive ones are gone. I'm seeing some past the dead end area that are older, like elders, older type people. And that's when I actually saw one that had no teeth. He showed me he had no teeth. And then I saw a bit beyond them were some younger ones that they were kind of babysitting. And, there have been different times where I mean, even saw like a group of younger ones in one location one time, and they kind of went like this, like, don't tell them where we are. Don't tell. And I was like, okay, didn't tell. I told them the day after they went, I'm like, okay, so I was seeing younger ones over here and I got the don't tell. And they're like, oh, we did hear young sounds coming from that way, you know? So that was pretty interesting. So, it's fun to do that for other people that we feel comfortable to do because I don't think everybody needs to know exactly where they are. I don't trust that everybody would be good with that information. You know what I'm saying? Like we are a
Right.
no kill, no harm group, cause no harm. And
Right.
so
I am totally on board with that.
yeah, so I feel like, I can't remote view for everybody, but there are certain people that I just feel like, no, I don't think I want to do that for you. And sometimes we just don't have time to do it because it takes a long time to remote view an area. Sometimes people just say, oh, can you remote view this whole state park for me? No. You know how long that would take me?
Golly,
I have
yeah.
a job and a life. I can't afford to take time off to do this for free.
Right.
So, yeah, but usually if we have an area of interest and we have the time, send the GPS coordinates and we'll take a peek and see what we see. But I'm not going to spend 6 hours or 2 weeks looking at something that I'm not invested in myself. If we're going on an expedition there, I will look and I will look and I will look and I will find the places where the Bigfoots are near the roadways. So we don't have to hike in for 10 miles, because that's all for me. That's my benefit right there.
Right. Now,
Selfish like that.
do y'all realize that the government sends teams in across the United States to hunt these creatures down? Did y'all
We've
know
heard
that?
we've heard stories, but we don't know anything firsthand.
So I actually got firsthand information and actually confirmed it. They're made up of Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and something else. But no, they go in 30, 40 days at a time, and they do, and they rotate these people across America, and they just drop them off at these certain locations, and they do their thing, and whatever they do, they do. So that's, to me, it's really interesting. And I always said the government knows. The government already has the bodies. I mean, it's evident. That's why they have laws on books already. So,
What I
but
want to
that
know
one
is what
guy,
happened for them to feel the need to do that. What happened between them for them to feel the need to go in there and hunt them down and kill them?
why did the Smithsonian and the government hide all about the giant skeletons?
Oh yeah, we have firsthand experience with that. They found some of those bones in Twin Valley, Minnesota.
And that's where I'm
So,
from. I grew up there.
yeah, and there was a TV show on a few years ago. I think it was called on a Hunt for Giants or something. There were two cousins that were masonries, bricklayers, and man, I was zoned in on that. I was like, phew. And because it was really interesting, because they were doing all their homework, the old newspapers, showing the old black and white photos, and it was like the fourth episode, and it was like just disappeared off TV, gone. And Independence Day with Will Smith, that was scrubbed 13 times by the government before it was released in the theaters. Now that's crazy. Now why in the hell is government messing with movies?
Don't you think part of it is that they're afraid of people's overreaction? I mean, we as a human beings, we react. That's our whole big thing, and we overreact.
Well, so let's take that statement you just made. And why is the government now just coming out and saying, we have UFOs and here's the footage? And it's like, what are they prepping us for? In 1954, Eisenhower signed a treaty in a hangar with the aliens. The granddaughter came forward last year and admitted it. People on their deathbed that was present in the hangars guarding it gave their deathbed confessions. So, because nobody could touch them then. And, and then you look at Hitler, everybody laughs that he did not have a flying saucer. Then 5 or 6 years ago, lo and behold, 10 to 12 seconds of footage of him having an SS saucer flying over a building, which they never found, nor the technology. And he was big into the outer space stuff and collecting all the, biblical items and relics. So that's why I said that, you can't draw a line in anything. You really can't. I interviewed a guy that was abducted, and he showed me when he got abducted that he came home with a tattoo. And I was like, what? I was like, let me see. He's like, I'll do one better. Let me show you the before and after picture. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, when I was brought back, it bubbled up like a blister and it healed within 3 days. Then it morphetized, or what's that word?
More?
Yeah, morphed. There you go. Into a different tattoo with a bunch of weird symbols embedded inside with different pictures and stuff. And I'm like, well, there's no way in hell you can fake that. I mean, that's not even a cover-up job, So, and he said that he knows the future, what's going to happen with the alien race. And he knows when they're coming back, and they're coming back to Florida. And that's why he sold everything he has and moved to Florida. And I was like, talk to me. And he told me some things on the air, and he said, but I cannot tell you anymore. You know, they promised me not to say. And I did some more homework on this guy, and this guy's like legit. I'm like, man, almighty, you know, what is this world coming to? Dogman, Bigfoot, aliens, you know, these sea creatures and monsters washing up on beaches and, you know, and all this other stuff. I mean, you stop and look, 115 years ago, we were in a horse and buggy, you know, and look at us now. And the military is supposed to be 30 to 50 years advanced from us. Now, the technology leap happened in the 50s and 60s. The first calculator took up a whole floor in the government building. I mean, look at our smartphones. I would never dream that we'd have a touchscreen phone that did everything, or an iPad, or a laptop which you can touch, or a flat screen TV. I mean, what do y'all think about all that? Don't get quiet on me now.
You're asking us what we think of advancement, human advancement?
Yes, absolutely.
It's necessary. I mean, it's advancement is how we move forward and how we get to where we need to be and grow as a human race.
How do we get it? How do we get the technology?
Well,
If you're asking if we reverse manufactured things that we've found or discovered or were given, I think so. Yeah. I think definitely there are other alien races here, whether they come from a different planet or a different dimension, they're still aliens, right? So, but yeah, I think that they're here, and I think that they do get involved with us, and I think that they do have a say in what happens. You know, they're not even all humanoid, so to speak.
No, they're not.
Even the balls of light that, you know, the classic orange orb UFOs, those aren't even crafts, so to speak. Those are beings that just don't have a physical body like we have. So, I mean, we can't expect every intelligent life that we encounter to look like us or similar to us.
Well, you're right, and I totally agree with that statement. And I look at Ancient Aliens, which I love that show. I don't know if y'all ever watch it at all.
Love it.
I'm hooked. I'm sorry. I believe 100% what they're saying is the truth, nothing but the truth. So help me. And, you know, my question has always been since I was young, you know, what happened to every ancient civilization? The Aztec, the Mayans, the Egyptians, they all just got wiped off the face of the earth. And Atlantis, you know, they're supposed to be so far advanced with technology. You know, what happened to them? And, you know, it seems like
Who says
they
they're
pro-
gone?
they said they prosper, and next thing you know, what they call the gods from above
Mhm.
wipe them out, and humanity starts all over again. So I don't know. And like you said, they may not be gone.
I don't think they're gone. Tammy, do you think they're gone?
No, that's why I got my scuba certification, because that's where I'm going to go look. There's millions of species that have not been discovered yet that are in the ocean. So there's lots of room to play.
We know more about Mars and the moon than we do our own Earth, especially the ocean. And I think the last time they said on TV in America, there was 970 million square miles of force that has been untouched. So if you take an acre, which is 43,560 square feet, we're talking a lot of land. So, you know, and, you know, the paranormal, excuse me for a second.
Who's calling? Hello.
Hello. I'm on live.
Oh, one
Hi.
you can't talk.
Hey, see?
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to our show.
Glenn, they're saying hi to you.
I can't hear him.
You don't want to look, do you? I'll call you back shortly.
All right.
Bye. Yeah, you didn't want to look at. You didn't want to look at all.
Well, that's funny.
Well, I'm on the first time. That that's a hint.
Mhm.
But it's just a lot of things make you wonder, and like I said earlier, when you look at things, the realm of things, how we got things, the technology leap, if you look at the movies our parents grew up on, and lo and behold, the technology just appeared and wasn't even thought of when the movies were out. They were just imagination, allegedly, even Star Trek. So, I mean, I don't know what to think. What do y'all say about it?
I do think that whatever we focus on, we can create. If multiple people are focusing on it, it becomes possible. Anything is possible. But one of the things that I started watching that show about Skinwalker Ranch, and I was like, I think there's a city above Skinwalker Ranch, a hidden city. That's what I think. And I think there are hidden cities above us in certain places on the planet that we just can't see them.
Well, they
Um,
actually say that there's a hidden city below,
well, that could be too.
and they stated, and don't quote me, I'm not saying this is a fact, but the steps that go down, that they actually showed on the show, is flooded, and it's got a picture of a fish, and it's an endangered species. Now, how in the hell did a fish get down there? I mean, is that not some BS or some what?
Yeah.
Go down there and grab the damn fish and put them somewhere else. Drain that shit. Excuse me, stuff. So,
Well,
go
I'm
ahead.
just going to put this out there. Jenna has a really big hope, is always hope, to get to go to Skinwalker Ranch someday. So
Yes.
we're putting it out there. We're up for it. If anybody wants to take us there and bring us out there, we're
Oh,
ready.
wow. Well,
Yes,
speaking of that, I actually has made my Sasquatch coin series, and I'm actually working on my cryptid series set, which will probably be, I think, about a dozen or 14 coins, and Skinwalker's just about to come out.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. So I've been working on that. So that'll be released probably in the next 30 to 40 days. So, yeah. Do you want to say anything else to everybody, or?
We just got back from Washington late last night.
I know.
Yeah, we were gone. And then before that, we were in Ohio. So I've been gone 2.5 weeks of October. We're in October. Yeah, it's October.
Yeah, it's still October.
I'm like, wait, what month is it? So I'm like dazed and confused over here, ready for a nap.
Oh, I don't blame you. I'm lucky to get you on the show, especially, when we talked about you all just getting back into town.
Yeah.
But really, y'all, anything to say to the viewers before you go?
Please
I love you.
Oh, we love you. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at She-Squatchers Official. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, She-Squatchers Official, and come like and follow our pages there too. We appreciate everybody. And we love it when we're requested places. Please keep doing that. We love you.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be on Grizzly's show, the only thing you have to do is email me at Grizzly, the paranormal at gmail.com. Once again, that's Grizzly, the paranormal at gmail.com. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast and around the world, we must say to Ovaries of Steel, good night. And thank you for being on the show. And I gotta have you all back. There's no doubt. I mean, there's way too much more that we got to know about you all,
For sure.
especially
For sure.
running out of the car. But really, thank you all for being on the show. And from us to you and around the world, we say good night, ladies and gentlemen.